Good evening, everybody. Can I just get a thumbs up that everybody can hear me clearly and see my screen as well? Thank you so much. Some more thumbs. Everybody ready? I hope you all had your coffee already to be wide awake. And this evening, we're going to focus on learning Unit 4. Recording transactions in the books of first entry. So this is now where you really start with the recording of the transactions, like we would say bookkeeping. It's no longer theoretical only. Now we start doing the actual bookkeeping in the books of your attorney's firm one day. Okay. So when we take a step back, remember we said there's a counting cycle that forms part of this whole process. Now, if you can remember, we said that everything starts with a transaction. When you go to a petrol station or you go to your Checkers, that is where the transaction starts. You either want to purchase some tea and coffee and milk and sugar and whatever for your business, or you want to put in petrol for the car that you want to go to all your clients, etc. That is where the transaction starts. Now, a quick question, and you can just jump in and tell me in the chat box, what do you see as a source document when you put in petrol in your car? What document will you get? A receipt? Yes, you'll get a slip printed from the machine that you pay with a card. That will be your source document. Okay, that is the credit card slip. That's correct. So that credit card slip, you will then take to your bookkeeper in the practice and you will tell the lady, I put some 500 Rand into the car, into the firm's car, and please find here the receipt. That is her source document. So she will have to capture that transaction now in the books of first entry. The same applies when we go shopping at Checkers or Pick n Pay, whatever, for groceries for the firm. You will also get a till slip. It might be a longer till slip, but that is your source document, your first entry. So everything starts with the transaction, something that you want to purchase, and that slip you will have then to enter into your books of first entry. So this is where we are tonight, recording those source documents into the books of our firm. Now, there are different types of journals in a business, and the main ones that I will focus on tonight is your business cash receipts journal and your business cash payments journal. Those are the entries. Remember, I previously said there's always two sets of books in a lawyer's or attorney's practice. You have your business transactions, where you have your normal, like a normal company would have. You have your receipts from your customers, you have your payments of salaries, rent, like we had now, petrol, or you buy groceries or entertainment, whatever. So that is your normal business transactions, and those you will record in the business cash receipts journal or the business cash payments journal. Then you have a separate set of books for all your trust transactions. Now, again, if we look back, you have cash receipts and cash payments. The receipts will come from your clients. For instance, if they deposit a random amount, say 50,000 Rand, if they want to purchase a house, and that you will have to keep that as a a deposit for the purchase of the house. That will goes into the trust cash receipt journal. It's not part of your business transaction. It is not your money. Apologies, is that bad signal on my line? Let me just see if I can fix that quickly. I'll just go to another internet connection, but I'll keep on talking. But in the meantime, I will just put that into my laptop just to back up on that. Sorry, you'll be back online now. I just want to get that going. Okay, that's going. So I will switch to the other connection now shortly. Your payments that you receive from your clients for work that you are going to do in future, that doesn't go into your business transaction, that goes into your trust books, your trust cash receipts and payments. And remember, I said previously, as an attorney, you are responsible for that money. You can't take any of that money. You can't spend any of that money. It's your responsibility to look after the money applicable to your clients. So that goes into your cash receipts and payments journal. Also, what would we pay from the payments, from the trust payments journal? Advocate fees, or if the house is in purchase, the client's house, you will pay from the. So it's important when you go through a question that you distinguish between what is a business transaction and what is a trust transaction. A fees journal, that is where we actually levy the fees. So usually at the end of the month, the lawyers will tell the bookkeeper that please invoice these clients for these services that we've rendered, and they will give you the fees that you have to invoice. Those transactions goes into a fees journal. Why? Because it's not received in cash as yet. So it's just, remember, when you go to the doctor or whatever, he invoices you for that visit, and that is the same that applies here. You get the invoice as a client, and then once the client pays that invoice, that goes into your cash receipts, trust cash receipts journal. And then the general journal, that is a document, or in this case, a journal that we use to record transactions that does not fit into any of the prior journals. Let's take an example. If you buy something on credit, let's say, for instance, you buy a vehicle on credit, it can't go into your business cash payments journal or your trust cash payments journal. You haven't bought it with cash. You bought it on a loan or a hire purchase agreement. So that transaction will go into your general journal. And so these are the main journals that I will focus on tonight. I just want to try and switch to a different internet connection. Just give me a few seconds. If the line drops, I will come back to you and I'll lock in. So just give me a few seconds. Okay. Am I still audible? Can I get a thumbs up? Sounds fine. Is that for the new connection? There's a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So I can proceed. No questions from your side at this stage? Everybody's still fine. Okay. Now, if we go back to, remember when we did the accounting equation right at the beginning, or not in the beginning, about 2 sessions ago, we said that assets equals equity and liabilities. Can you all still remember that? And then we talked about debits and credits, plus and minuses. And then in accounting, you would often hear people talk about T accounts. Now, why would we call something a T account? Because it very often looks like a T account. So don't wonder what happens if somebody talks about a T account. That is where the terminology comes from. It actually looks like a T account. Important for you. Always remember this picture that I have of the scale. Whatever you have on the debit side must equal the credit side. So always think it as in scale. Whatever you put on the left-hand side must equal the right-hand side. You can put two things on the right-hand side and only one on the left. As long as the number or the value is similar, it will balance. Always keep that in mind. Now, remember the business bank account or the business receipts journal and payments journal. It's important that you focus on the fact that these are for business transactions only. You can't make any payments on behalf of a client from the business bank account, because that must come from the trust bank account, because the trust money is where the client deposits his money into, and you are not allowed to use any trust money for your business transaction. You can't even just borrow for a short period. So, okay, I've got an overdraft in my business bank account. I'm just quickly going to take some money from the trust bank account and just top off my business bank account. That is not allowed. And remember, I said previously, they will come and lock you up. You will sit in jail. So very important, and that is why we as students have to learn this. We have to understand why it's important to take accounting and understand it, because you can get into trouble if you don't. If you just tell your bookkeeper, quickly take some money from my trust bank account and put it in my business bank account, you are the one that's default. You are the one that can get into trouble. So that's why it's important that you need to understand these principles applicable to a law firm. Cash payments, as I've explained previously, your business expenses, they all relate to your business transactions, your office rent, your insurance, your telephone, membership fees, salaries and wages, and anything that has to do with the day-to-day business of an attorney. That can also include things like buying furniture or laptops, or even a car for the business if you want to drive to clients, etc. Anything that happens in a question or in a situation once you are in practice, just think about it. Is it for the business, or are you doing it on behalf of a client? Expenses paid in respect of the clients, that is mainly traveling, that you can travel for a client and then you will charge that in the fees journal to the account of the client. Advocate fees, sheriff fees, tracing fees, etc. Anything that you pay on behalf of a client will go into your trust books or your trust bank account, whatever is applicable. Now, tonight, I am no longer going to do any work. Now it's up to you to do it this evening. So I want you, if possible, to take example 4.1 in your study material. And I want us to work through these transactions, and I want you to see how we actually record something in the books of first entry. Now, what I always tell the students in an exam, how do you start off such a question? The easiest way is always read the required first, so that you know what is expected from you. So if we look at example 4.1 in the study material or online, whatever you are looking at, the required reads: prepare the business cash receipts journal and the business cash payments journal of SA attorneys for March 20.6. Now, so there's a clear indication to us we are only referring to the business books, not the trust books. So whatever is asked or in the required section, please focus on that, because that is how the time will be allocated as well as the marks. Don't do general journals or fees journals or trust payments journals if that is not part of the required in the question itself. So I want you to draw on a piece of paper I'm just going to put it on the slide. There you have it. I want you to, I hope you can all see it. Can I just get a thumbs up? Can you see it, or must I enlarge it? We try and enlarge it a bit more. Okay, well, is that better? Good. Okay, so let's have a look at the first transaction. The following information relates, oh, sorry about that. It will be back on now. The following information relates to the attorney's practice SA attorneys. The practice is registered as a VAT vendor. VAT is 15% is included where applicable. We talked about this previously. Look for that information in a question. Is it a VAT vendor or not? And what is the VAT rate? In our case, it will be 99.9%, it will be 15%, because that is the current VAT rate in South Africa. Now let's go to the first transaction. Date on the 1st. One of the attorneys, Mr. North, deposits 10,000 Rand in the business bank account of SA attorneys as capital. Receipt number 21 is issued. Can I get an idea from you? Is it cash receipts journal or cash payments journal? And don't look at your solution in the study material. Think about this. Cash receipts, cash receipts. Everybody agree on that? What are the important words? Deposits, deposits 10,000 Rand in the business bank account. So that's an indication to us that we are receiving in money. So how we start now? The date is the 1st. Our document that we use as, remember that source document we talked about, is the receipt 21. The details is what we put in there. In this case, it's capital that we receive. How do we know it's capital? Because one of the attorneys deposited that into the account. So I just want to go down one line. I hope you're all doing this with me so that you get the feeling of entering this in a general ledger. Capital. Don't worry about the folios tonight. I will explain that to you in our next session. What do we did? How much did we get from him? We got 10,000 Rand. And what was it for? Was it for a client? Was there any VAT applicable? Or should it go under sundries? Can I get an idea in the chat? Is it a client that's paying? Is there VAT applicable? Or should it go under sundries? Sundries. Everybody okay with that? Because it's not a client. It was one of the attorneys, and there's no VAT applicable on capital. Everybody okay? Right, the next transaction. On the 4th, we pay office rent for March to S Africa by EFT number 31, 2,300. Is that an income or an expense? We pay office rent for March. It's a payment. It's money going out. It's an expense. Okay, so let's go to the cash payments journal. What is the date? 4th. What is our document? 31. What are we paying? Office rent. Okay, let's leave the folio for now, and I'm again in the wrong line. Okay, the total is 2,300. Is there VAT applicable on this transaction? What are we paying? Office rent. Yes, there is VAT. When is there no VAT applicable? On what type of rent? What type of rent does not have VAT? Good. Residential. So we have to take out the VAT included in the 2,300. How do we go about doing this? You take your calculator, 2,300 divided by, I'm going to put on the mic so that I can hear that everybody is awake, because it's very quiet out there. Okay, let's see where we are. Sundries. There we go. 2,300 divided by 115 times 100. That will give us 2,000 Rand, which is the office rent excluding VAT, which means that our VAT is 300 Rand. Everybody agree? Just say yes or nay or hey. Yes, yes, yes. Everybody's fine. Okay, let's just take a step back. When is it output VAT and when is it input VAT? How will you remember this? Important to see the difference. Remember, your cash payments journal is what you put into the business. So that's why we refer to it as input VAT. You put it into the business. So the other one must be your output. Is when you sell. Yes. Always remember that. So when you get into the exam, remember, I always just remember input is what I pay for. It goes into the business. So the other one must be the output VAT. Okay. That's just a tip. Mark there and a mark there. Easy mark. Okay. I saw something somewhere on the list. It's not 2,300 times 0.15 because it's already in there. We need to take it out. So if that includes the VAT, excluding the VAT, it will be 2,000 Rand. That is excluding VAT. We can't say 2,300 times 0.15 because we want to take it out. It's already in there. If it was excluding VAT, you would have multiplied by 0.15. Yes, Lukesa? You want to ask a question? Just unmute yourself. Yes?
Yes, I just want to ask, when you render a service, right, should we calculate VAT on that, or should we just record it on the bank side?
Meaning fees, like when you invoice somebody, a client, for
Yes,
fees.
yes.
If you invoice a client for fees, it will either go into your fees journal, and therefore you will capture it in your fees journal. I will show that in a slide to you a bit later. But if the client then pays that fee, you don't have output VAT in your business cash receipts journal, because you already included the VAT in your fees journal. Otherwise, there's a duplication. Okay, I think that will become clearer to you once I get to the fees journal. Okay. Let's just carry on, and let's see what happened. If you, after the class, still don't understand, I will explain in more detail. Okay, now the next transaction on the 4th, receive payment from A South. This is now just what I explained to you. Receive payment from A South of 18,240 in cash for services rendered on 28 February 20.6. Receipt number 22 is issued. So we, in our fees journal, we charged A South 18,240 for services rendered to him. So that was already captured in our fees journal in February. Can you see the date there? So in our fees journal, we put it there. Yeah, I know you are very clever tonight. Are you happy now, Advana? Okay, so in February we invoiced that A South. We said to him, you owe us 18,240 Rand for services, and in that we included the VAT already. So now when he pays us on the 4th, our receipt number is 22. We will say it is A South so that we know who is paying. Let me see. It's difficult to show you that as well. Can you quickly take a picture with your phone? Everybody that doesn't have their study material in front of them. I'll give you a few seconds. Just take a picture of the question itself. Oh, there it is. Ah, you are so cute, everybody. I just love working with you. Thank you. Okay, so we say A South made a payment. I always go to my bank column first before I start worrying about VATs, etc., etc. So I received 18,240 from him. It is A South, and he is a client. So it goes into the client column. There's no VAT. No, I mustn't say there's no VAT applicable here, but the VAT was already accounted for as output VAT in the fees journal. Therefore, we don't split this to consider and to account for the VAT. It was already in the fees journal. So we don't want to duplicate the VAT in our books. Okay, on the 7th, cash is drawn for petty cash. Cash is drawn on the 7th. It will be our petty cash. Now, there can be different documents. There's nothing in the question. You can say cash withdrawal. You can say petty cash. It's just an idea to if you need to trace back this transaction, you will know where to find it. That is why we have the document number in there to say this is where it comes from. And it is a petty cash that we top up. So it's cash that we are withdrawing. We go to the bank column first, is 1,600. Is there VAT applicable on this transaction? No, because we're just drawing some extra money. We did not buy anything as yet. Whenever we buy something from the petty cash, we will show the VAT in the petty cash journal. So this is just straightforward withdrawing cash to top up the petty cash itself. On the 9th, we pay 920 for advertisements per EFT number 32. Is it a cash receipts or a cash payments journal? Everybody's quiet. Are you still awake? Payments. Everybody happy with that? On the 9th, our reference is 32. What are we paying for? Advertisements. We go to the bank column first. 920 Rand. Okay, now I want to see from you, is there VAT applicable? Did we put in any VAT into the business on the 920? Yes. Is there VAT applicable on advertisements? Remember, I said you have to go and learn the items that is excluding VAT, that we can't claim any VAT on. Like we said previously, residential rent. What else did we have last time? Fees, like gym fees, we can't claim those, etc. You need to learn those ones off by heart, okay, so that we don't catch you out in the exam. So if the advertisements is 920, where is that student that slipped up now previously? How did you calculate this? Did you get to that? It's included in there. So excluding VAT is 800. Everybody okay with this? 800. So it means that our VAT, our input VAT is 120. Thumbs up? Good. There's a few thumbs up. It's actually nice and easy to score marks in accounting, is it not? Okay, pay 1,150 Rand per EFT number 33 for membership fees for the Legal Practice Council. Expense or a cash payment, everybody agree on that? 12, on the 12th, it's number 33, and we pay the legal counsel. I'm just going to say legal counsel. How much are we paying? We always go to this column first. We're paying 1,150. Now remember, I said membership fees, we can't claim VAT. Is that correct? No VAT. Why no VAT, Michael? Michael, I'm waiting for an answer. Yes, we can claim VAT on legal counsel membership because it's not gym membership or golf golf club membership or whatever, we are allowed to claim VAT on legal counsel membership. If the expense is related to our business, we can claim the VAT. Okay, how do we calculate? That is the amount excluding VAT. So the VAT must be the difference of 150. Good, good, good. Everybody happy? Okay, the next one. On the 14th. Issue receipt number 23 to C Natal. Is fee always have no VAT? Yeah, mainly in our cash receipts journal. If we receive money from a client, the VAT is already included in that payment. But fees have VAT, but that appears in the fees journal. I will show that to you later. If the business, in this case, SA attorneys, are registered for VAT, there will be VAT in the fees. Okay, important to take note in a question to look for it. Is it a VAT vendor or not a VAT vendor? In this case, SA attorneys is a VAT vendor. So we issue a receipt, number 23, to C Natal in settlement of his account. Can everybody see that it is cash receipts? It's on the 14th. We issued receipt 23. It is from C Natal. And we go to the total column, the bank column first. 969. And remember, the VAT was already charged in the fees journal. So now the full amount goes to cash control, client's control. Otherwise, we duplicate the tax. On the 19th, pay short-term insurance for the period 1 April to 30 June, the EFT number 34, 6,900 Rand. Payment, we did a payment on the 19th. Our EFT number is 34, and it is insurance. We go to the total column, 6,900. Is there VAT applicable on insurance? Can we claim input VAT? Yes, we can. That is correct, Michael. Yes, if it's business related, you can claim, but you can't go through the gym and claim that as an expense. So membership fees for any club is excluded from, or you can't claim VAT in a business for that. 6,900 because there is VAT in insurance. That means excluding VAT was 6,000. And the VAT must be 900 Rand. Okay, we're almost done with this question. And if I quickly have a look at it, I would say you will get at least 15 points or marks for this question. So I think, as you can see, it's very easy, straightforward. Yeah, accounting is just easy and enjoyable. On the 24th, expenses, pay the following expenses. So it must be in the payments journal. Number 35. water and electricity. Is there VAT on water and electricity? Can we claim VAT on water and electricity? Yes, we can, because it's part of the business, and there is VAT applicable on when we get the invoice. You will see a line item there, VAT. Okay, 1035 divided by 115 times 100 gives us 900 Rand in this column. It's nothing to do with the client, or say it's only VAT, and the VAT then therefore must be 135. Okay, then we have another one on the 24th, number 36. That is for telephone. Can we claim VAT on telephone accounts? Yes, we can. Important, go and learn those items that cannot, where you cannot claim VAT. Learn them off by heart. And the last one, number 37, we pay salaries. The total, 4788. How much VAT can we claim? No VAT. Well done. Well done. No VAT. There's no VAT applicable on salaries. So we can only add the same amount to the sundries column. This CW stands for cash withdrawal. Yeah, that is what CW stands for, cash withdrawal for the petty cash. Okay, so now we've captured all the entries in the question. So the next thing will be to balance your account. I just want to quickly show you that. And this is all part of the questions. You will get your marks for this, so please do it. Let me just give you a basic indication of what you will get in the exam or in the assignments. You will have to put in, is it a cash receipts or a cash payments journal? You will have to pick that from a drop-down menu. You will have to indicate, is it input or output VAT? So you'll get your mark there. You will also get your mark for the dates. The document, if it's given to you in the question, you have to put that in. You will have to put in the details, and you will get your mark for, is it sundries, clients, or VAT bank. There will be blocks for each one. So you will have to put in a 10,000 there, a 0 if there's a block, 0 there if there's a block, and the bank will be 10,000. The same year you will get a mark for the on the 4th for the details. You will get the mark for the bank column as well as for the client's control, but there will also be blocks here where you will put in a 0. So I'm just going to put that in to give you an indication how your answer will look in an assignment or in a exam. So this is, if there are blocks, this is how it will look. You will add this up. You will just add it down there. Those two together. And you will add this up here, those 3 items. And what do you do after this? as we call it, you crosscast. 10,000 plus this one should equal that one. So that's just another check to see if you're adding all your allocations or your allocations in your cash receipts journal is correct. This plus this must equal that. If the cash payments journal, in the cash payments, the column does not have client control, but in the cash payments, yeah, there's very seldom any payments to clients in a cash payments journal, because when we pay something on behalf of a client, that will be in your trust account, your trust cash payments journal. Okay, so there's no client's control in your business cash payments journal. The same now we do with this. We add this up with the calculator, because I don't think nowadays we all used to using calculators. So we add this up down here. We add this one up. And we add this one. And then what did I say? What do we do after we've done that? We cross-check to see. So this plus this must equal that. If there is no VAT, it means it cannot be claimed. Yes, in this case, we can claim this input VAT. We can claim that, but there's no output VAT, so we don't need to pay any VAT to SARS in this transaction, in this question, but we can claim this back from SARS. Now, how was that for your first question? Was that easy? Did you enjoy that? Yes, very basic, very straightforward. But remember what I said. You need to know how to do the VAT. So something you have to practice. And you will see in the next question, example 4.2, in your study material, there's another question, a very similar one. So I really want you to work through that as well this week, so that you can see, and remember, we work through a question without looking at the answer. Huh? You put the answer away. I always say we don't do the oor-ja method. Oh yes, that is how it should look. No, you do the question, the full answer on your own, and then you check against the answer in the study material. Otherwise, you are not learning anything. In a question like this, you must be able to take out the VAT. So that is one thing that you have to know. And you always also have to know which of these items you can claim VAT on, input VAT, on which of these items. And that was in the previous study material, in Unit 3, learn them off by heart. Okay, so now, any questions still on this before I take it off the screen? It wasn't really hard. No, it's not hard. It's very nice to do it. That is why we accountants love doing the books. It's playful, it's nice to balance, it's nice to see what you are doing. So yeah, that's why we love accounting and why you all hate accounting, but never mind, we're not going there. No questions on this Excel document. Can I take it off? Okay. Now let's go back to the slides. There is the full answer as well, but you will find it in your study material. So please work through example 4 or example 4.2 and see and make sure that you apply the same rules as what we just did. Now, just as a quick summary of what we just did, we had the date, we had the document number, the cash receipts number, that was the receipt number. We had the name of the client that we have to put in there. The folio I'll explain to you next time when we do general ledger, so don't worry about that. The sundries is for anything that does not form part of the client's control. So what I always say is I put in the bank amount first, and then I go back and check and see, okay, I've got a client's control or a sundries column. Which one should I use? If I receive money from a client, it goes under client control account. And if I receive, for instance, capital from one of the partners or the attorneys, or rental income, it will go under sundries, or bank interest received. Anything that's not related to my client goes into my sundry column. The same with the business cash payments journal. We just did that. We have a date. We have an EFT number. And all of these will be given to you in the question itself. The name of the client or the item that we bought, telephone, water, electricity, or even what we had, salaries, etc. That goes in here. The folio we can skip for now. Then we do the bank column first. The total goes into the bank column. Depending if there's VAT or not, there will be a separate item for output and input VAT. So just make sure in the exam that you pick that up. Anything that has to do with the client will go in here, but this very seldom happens because our client payments go into the trust payments journal. And anything that is not related to a client, but in this case, most of your entries will form part of your sundries column, like we did in the previous example. In output VAT for A South and C Natal, why did they have one under output VAT? Oh, that's just an example, footnote. I think they said there, they gave you that information. I just want to double check. It says their fees are first recorded in the fees journal where the output, let me just show that to you. There it is. He's asking about that one there. It's a reference, a footnote. If you look at the bottom of that page, that is where that footnote will be explained. And it says fees are first recorded in the fees journal where the output VAT is recorded separately. So this is not an amount, it's just an explanation where you can find more info on this information, and as you'll find it always at the bottom of that specific page. And I did explain to you, we don't split the VAT in these amounts because the VAT was already calculated and included in the fees journal. Does that answer your question? Okay. Now we go to the trust cash receipts journal. Remember, previously we did for the business. Now the trust cash receipts, very similar. We have a date. We will have a receipt number. We will have details, so we will tell exactly from which client did we receive the money. Folio we will skip for now. You go directly to the bank column and put in the bank amount that was received from the client. And that should usually go into the receipts trust creditors control column. So usually in a question, these two will be similar because remember again, there's no VAT on receipts. It will be, if a client pays his account, it will be part of the business cash receipts, and we will have added the VAT in the fees journal. So these are for items where they deposit, they give us a deposit for a transaction, or if we know that we are going to do some legal fees for them, they will give us a top up or a deposit. So this is what will go into the cash receipts journal. This can be for interest, etc., but mainly in a question you will use those two columns as those will be relevant to the information given to you. Trust cash payments journal, again the date, the reference number, what are we paying for? And remember now we might pay insurance for a client. So we will need to put in the client name and we can put in insurance for Mr. A or whatever. So the details are there to explain to you when you look at the payments journal, what happened, where did the money go? This information will help you to trace that transaction. And then again, we go straight to the bank column with the total amount. And we have, if we received it or we did pay something for a client on behalf of him, like a water and electricity or a deposit or whatever, it will go into this column. I'm going to leave this one for now. I'm not going to explain this. This will form part of a later study or learning unit. So don't worry about that. And the sundries, very seldom there will be much in your sundries column because everything you pay from the trust account needs to be on behalf of a client. So most of the time it will go into your creditors control account. Okay. Are we winning? Now we're at the fees journal where we had a lot of questions about the VAT. So if we look at the fees journal, you will, okay, this one unfortunately doesn't have VAT in it because I can assume that SA attorneys is not registered for VAT. Okay, but let's take an example. We'll have add the date, we'll add the details of the client that we are invoicing. This might be a drop of a will, this might be consulting for rental, completion of income tax. So we give them, the more details we give here, the easiest is to track the transaction and see what it is for. So if you walk into your bookkeeper's office and you ask him, what did we charge Mr. Zulu? He or she can look into the fees journals and say, sir, we consulted, we did some consulting work for him and we drew up a rental contract and we charge him 4,100 Rand for that. Okay, so the more you can put in here, the better. And the folio I will explain to you next time. So in this case, let's say SA attorneys was not registered for VAT. The fees total will equal the client's control. Now, can somebody help me? If we were registered for VAT, what would be the difference? Would there be any difference in here? Can I get some answers in the chat? We will have an output VAT. I'm listening. Okay, so if the fee was 3,600, what will be the VAT? It's a very random amount. Excluding VAT will be 3,1. I think I'm just going to confuse you now if I don't put this on a slide. Let's just leave it for now. I will make sure that in the next question, next time, I will have, I just want to make a note, a fees journal with VAT. I don't want to confuse you now. It's difficult to explain without a slide. Okay, so let's just see, this is what we invoiced him for, and this is what will go to the client's control. The client control will be the amount including VAT, but fees will be excluded. That is correct, but as I said, I don't want to confuse it now. I will do a proper fees journal next time, which have the VAT as well. And then remember, I talked about the general journal that we can have if something does not fit into the cash payments or receipts journals or the fees journals. For instance, if we purchase equipment on credit, this is what we call a general journal. Again, the headings, make sure that you know what the headings are. You'll get marks for it. Credit, debit. So this is the account that we will debit in the ledger, and that I'll show you again next time when I do the ledger. And the credit, we have a date. We are purchasing equipment, so we debit equipment, and we credit the liability, or in this case, SA Stores. We buy the equipment from SA Stores. We will credit him with the same amount. And this is our narration. We explain equipment purchased on credit. So you'll have quite a few general journals. And again, when the boss comes and asks you what's going on, why this and this, you need the detail in here. Yes, sir, we bought some equipment. We bought it from Creditors SA, and we bought it on credit. So that is why it's in the general ledger, sir. This is the amount that we have. We're not focusing on that now in this question. So the more information you put in your general ledger, the easier it will be to help you to answer the boss when he asks you what's going on. Or if you are the boss, you can look at the journal and you can get all the information from there. There we can have a few more examples. If a partner takes stationery for his own use, it's drawings, 920. So we debit drawings, 920. We take it out of the stationery, we credit stationery, excluding that, 800. And we have our output VAT credit of 120. So this is how a general ledger looks like. Anything that has to do with non-cash items or not fees will go into your general ledger. Debit accounts, credit accounts. Now remember, if you go back to your basic accounting education, basic accounting equation, we would have the same there. We will ask you, if A takes stationery for own use, which accounts will be affected? Can you still remember that? A South was equity. Stationery was also equity. So it was plus and minus on your equity. Plus your drawings are more. Your stationery is less, so it's a minus. And in this case, we also have the VAT output. It all goes back to the basic accounting equation. Purchase a cash register on credit from PC Electronics. What is more, what is increase is our computer. So that was plus. Debit, it increases. What is more on the credit side is our creditor, or our payables is more. It's credited. And in this case, we bring in the VAT as an input VAT, because the computer goes into use, into the business. It is input VAT. Depreciation on the delivery vehicle. Oi, not there yet. Depreciation, always depreciation a debit, always 10,000. Accumulated depreciation, always a credit, 10,000 Rand. And our narration, provision for depreciation. No VAT on depreciation, so there's no VAT transaction in there. And I think that is all for tonight. Okay, let's fire away. Any questions? Please feel free to ask. Thank you, Anine. I really recommend that you work through some of the examples in this learning unit for this week. Before we go to next, was it next week? When are we doing the general ledger? We're doing the general ledger accounts on the 1st of April. And that's not an April Fool's joke, people. I will be doing general ledgers on the 1st of April. So please work through your learning unit 4 to understand how we record everything in the books. Next week we will do the ledger, or next time we will do the general ledger and book it over to the general ledger from these journals. First was Sakele.
Hello,
Yes. Yes.
how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm good. Ma'am, I have a question with regards to the proctored assessments.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to use a calculator, right?
Yes.
Won't the system detect that as maybe cheating and kick us out?
No, you are allowed to use a calculator and a clean piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. You are allowed to use that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, pleasure. Davies, I just sorry, take you back to fees journal that does input, or I will show you the fees journal next time, Davies. I will set a look for a question that has got the VAT in there. The example that we had now did not have any VAT in it, so I don't want to confuse you by putting another column in there. I will look for a question with the VAT, and then I will explain that to you next time. I don't have a WhatsApp group. I'm not sure if there is one. I mean, I don't know if you know if there's one for FIC. But I know there are some WhatsApp groups. I don't know if there's anybody of you that are in a group that wants to just share it on the chat with some of the students. Who is that who's got a question? Sia, I can't see your full name. Sia Bung or whatever, can you ask? Yes?
Hey, good evening, ma'am.
Mm.
Yeah, how are you? I trust you're well.
Fine, and you? Fine, and you?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask regarding the test which we are going to write on the, I think maybe early May or late May, or it will be covered all the learning units, or there will be specific units which we must focus on.
Okay, the next assessment is on the 24th of March. That is learning units 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And the 7th of April, assessment 3, that is learning units 1 to 5. And that's also a proctored assessment so that you get used to it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's 24 to 26 March. So there's more than one day. The third assessment is from the 7th to the 9th. The fourth assessment is on the 20th.
Okay.
That's one day only. It's for 4 hours. It opens for 4 hours. So that's learning units 1 to 6.
Yes.
And then if you want to do, you up your score, you can do assessment 5 on the 21st of April. So you've got 2 chances there. If you're not happy with your mark on assessment 4, you can do assessment 5 on the 21st, but that is all learning units.
Okay, I noted. Thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Please just complete that evaluation form that Anine posted on the chat. Sorry, I did not introduce Anine to you this evening. Hello, Anine. She's one of the other lecturers on the module. And I think Antoinette thought that you are in good hands this evening. So Antoinette is not on the chat this evening. Thank you all for joining us. No other questions?
Sorry.
Do we have an exam for the module? Yes, there is also an exam. We haven't received the dates yet. It will be somewhere in May. Yeah, so we will record the highest grade between task 4 and 5. So you can do both if you want to. The highest score will count. Yes, who is that? Leshlo Ono?
No.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry, I only see a piece of your name on my screen. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm okay, thank you. So I just had the other students asking about the proctoring assignments. Which assignments are that?
They start with assessment 3, 4, and 5, as well as the exam.
Oh, and so
Yeah, so we actually, assessment 4 is, assessment 3 is the first proctoring one, and that is just to get you to get the feeling of the proctoring, so that you get into understanding how it works and get the full experience. Yes.
Okay. So as you were explaining there when you were just entering your cash receipt, was it cash receipt or cash payments journal?
Mm-hmm.
I saw there that you were using Excel. So now I'm just wondering, you said we must also put zeros where there is no transactions to be added. On the exams, are we going to be required to use the Excel, or are you going to be putting those blocks for us?
You'll get blocks.
Okay.
You'll get a question with a block in it. I don't know if I've got an example now quickly with me. I can quickly have a look. Sorry, let me just
the same as in the assignment, or maybe.
Yeah, it will be like the assignments. I see if I can quickly find. I saw one this evening when I looked at the slides. This is new. Yeah, you'll see when you get it. It's a little block in there. Let me see if I've got anything in here. No, it was a much shorter question. No, I don't have an example for you now.
Okay.
Yeah, but you'll get blocks, and then you need to put in the blocks whatever is relevant, either a 0 or not. So that is why I put in that one question. I explained to you, if there's nothing in that column, you need to show that as 0, so that you get the mark there to show us, that there's no amount applicable in that column.
And we get marks for putting the dates and all those zeros.
Yeah. You might only get a half a mark, but you will get mark because you spend time on putting that date, etc., in that column. So for anything that takes time, you get a mark.
Okay, thank you.
After the assessments, can we review our quiz to see incorrect answers? I'm not sure how it works. I'm not a student, so I don't know what you see from your side. Can somebody help me out on that? There's one. Thanks, Arvana. You said the practice question for learning unit 2 has it. Yeah, so thanks for that. Who is that? Siyabonga? Yes, go ahead. You have a question?
No.
Okay, just then mute your mic because it pops up on my side. There we go. You only get to review your answers after the due date has passed. Okay. Yes, there is. I'm not 100% and I don't have it in front of me. If you go onto the module itself, the module site, there is a clear explanation of the value attached to each assessment and how it adds up to the year mark and then what the exam mark is. I know there's a large explanation there from Antoinette exactly how it works. So please make sure that you are familiar with that and to note how many assessments you have to do during the semester and how much it counts for you. So yeah, everything basically counts. I think the first ones are very small so that you can just get used to the system. But assessments 4 or 5, there's quite a large value attached to that. Oh, thank you. There's Anin on top of it. Yes, that is correct. If it's 5 or more, 0.5 or more, it goes up to the next full amount. And when it's less than 5, 4 and down, it goes down to 6.7, 1867. We don't have question papers. Everything is online. So we don't have printed question papers. The previous question papers, when it was still hard copies, is so outdated now that you can't use those. There's enough examples in your study material, in your assessments, etc. It won't be that tricky, the exam. We want to check and see if you know what is required from you as lawyers. So we don't want to catch you out and we're not going to ask you things that you've never seen before. So don't you worry, just go through your study material. And as I said, don't use the oh yes method, hey? Put away the solution and work through it on your own before you look at the answer. Very, very important. Okay. Any other questions? Our next one is, okay, now you're going to do the assessment. Are you already busy with the assessment? Sorry, I only see it now. Okay, so there's a question and answer assessment session on the 30th. And then I will see you again on the 1st of April. Thank you. Yes, go and study. It's very important. You want to become lawyers, you need to know accounting as well. Okay, so I will see you on the 1st. Thank you again, Anin, for everything and for helping me out on this. Enjoy your assessment. Hope it goes well with that. And then Antoinette will give feedback on assessments 1 and 2 on the 30th. So please go and log in and listen to her feedback. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening, and I'll see you on the 1st. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.